What's going on, everybody? Sean Daniel here with Guitar Control. Today we're learning an all-time classic, Champagne Supernova by Oasis. Really a great song just to teach, to kind of help out with strumming and picking out bass notes with strumming. It's actually really simple. It's built all around this A suspended chord, okay? Now there are two types of suspended chords real quick. There's sus2 chords and sus4 chords. So if you know how to play A major, looks like this. Also make sure to click the link below because we have the chords listed for you, right? So a lot of people play A major like this, where it's open A, 2 on the D string, 2 on the G string, 2 on the B string, right? If you lift your pinky off, you get what's called A sus2. It's an A major, but we have the second note in the A scale, A B, instead of the third note, okay? You can also play A sus4, which would be like this. We're not going to use that, just A sus2, okay? Now the main part of this song sounds like this. Okay, now I want to do an easy version of this where the strumming stays the same. If you listen to the original version, you can kind of hear that the strumming switches up a little bit, but basically, like I said, it's all going to be built around this A sus2 chord, and the only thing that's going to change is going to be the root note, alright? So, before we get into adding the strumming to it, let's talk about what the root note is going to change to. It starts out with an A, right? This open A string, okay? So what we're going to do first, instead of doing the full strumming thing, we're going to go root note and then the chord, alright? Now the next thing we're going to do is you're going to put your pinky on the 3rd fret of the E string. This is a G note, and then you're going to play the chord. So A, chord, G, chord, alright? Now you may see this written as like an A sus2 over G / G, something like that, right? That just means it's that chord with a different bass note, alright? After that, we're going to descend through this scale. Your pointer finger is going to grab the 2nd fret on the E string, which is an F sharp. So now it's an A sus2 over F sharp. The next thing we're going to do, open up the E string to get an A sus2 over E, right? So we have A, G, F sharp, E, but we're going to add it to the chord. Okay? Now when we apply the strumming pattern, it sounds like this. Alright, so the count is going to be like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 2 bars of 4 on each chord. And remember, the 1 and the 3 in most songs, especially rock songs like what this are, have a little bit of importance, right? Like maybe some, if there was a drum kit, there'd be like a kick on the 1 and a snare on the 3. We can kind of do a version of this on acoustic guitar by hitting the bass note on the 1, 1, 2, 3, and then the 3 count right there just maybe gets a little bit of a heavier dynamic strum on it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4. So you can hear where that 3 is without me even counting it. That 3 count is getting a little extra sauce, right, to kind of make it sound a little more dynamic, all right? So we're going to do that same thing for each of the 4 different bass notes going over this chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4, and. Now the way that I'm counting it, all the numbers are going to be downstrokes. The word and is going to be an upstroke, okay? So again, if you just look at my right hand, my picking hand, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4, and down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up. Musical counting is such an underrated part about playing. You learn how to count musically, and you basically have learned the strumming pattern to any song that you can diagnose with your ear, right? So A, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4, and G, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4, and F sharp. one thing that I'll do, that if you want to kind of really practice picking out that note, because again, a lot of times it can be hard dynamically hitting certain strings instead of just hitting like all 6, which again, there's a time and a place for that, but that's kind of playing 100 out of 100. You want to be able to bring it back a little bit to have that dynamic that you can go up into for, you know, the heavier part of the song, right? So what I'm doing is I'm trying to just hit that root note, that one string, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4, and. A lot of times it'll sound good in the second bar of 4 on the 2 count to hit that bass note again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4, and. Okay? Now, the next part of the song, we'll call this a different part of the song, but really it's the same idea, but now, this is something that is used in a bunch of different songs, by the way, is we're going to take those bass notes that we've been playing over an A sus2 chord and turn them into bass notes for their own chord. Okay, so remember, we have A, a G, an F sharp, and an E. So if we look at the chords in this key, A is now just going to be A major. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3. G is just going to be G major. F sharp is going to be this chord, and E is going to be E major. All right, so this chord progression, which is this a different chord progression? I mean, that's up to how you kind of perceive it. I see it as the same chord progression, but now we're playing full triads, as they were, 3-note chords. An A major, same strumming pattern, 2 bars each. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4, and then go to a G major chord. I like using, you'll see sometimes I'll lead with my ring finger instead of my middle finger. The reason I'm doing that is because I think it's easier to get to the next chord, which is going to be a D over F sharp. But basically, so the way that I'm doing this is ring finger 3E, middle finger 2A, pinky 3B for a G major chord. Again, however you want to play a G major chord, it's fine. You know what I mean? I personally think this is the most efficient way to lead with your ring finger first, and then switch this out for this, what is a D major chord, but with the F sharp in the bass, right? So now my middle finger is 2 on the E string, ring finger is 2 on the G string, pinky is 3 on the B string. And then E major, open E, middle finger 2A, ring finger 2D, pointer finger 1G. So, let's hear the difference between both of them. This is the full chord, A major, G major, D over F sharp, E major, versus the A sus2 with the changing bass note. Okay, so now the only other major part of the song, you can call this a chorus or even a bridge. I've seen it written both ways, but it sounds like this. It's just G to A. You can keep the same strumming pattern. Back to the A sus, right? So again, we have G to A, then G to D to E. Okay? Now the reason this is working like this is because we're turning the song back around to A. You'll see this in tons of different songs. Oasis is very well versed in the music that came before it, obviously. So this is kind of like a modern take on really just traditional blues rock stuff, where the 5th chord in any key is going to bring you back home. So remember, home is pretty much where this A chord, this A sus chord is, right? The easiest way to point yourself back in that direction is to go to the 5 of that, A, B, C, D, E. So E is always going to lead us back to A, all right? So now in this little bridge thing, we have G major, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4, and A. Same thing. 4 bars each now. The second time, G, 2 bars of D major, and then E. 2, 3, 4, 2 and 3 and 4, and back to the beginning. And now I'm kind of playing it more open. I think really getting the high strings open on this, the open B and the open E string, really adds to the suspended nature of it. I know it can be kind of hard because, you know, maybe your hand is laying down and maybe muting that B string. It could sound like that at first. So really try to get your hand up a little bit. I'm exaggerating by bringing my elbow in to open up that on top. But again, a great way to test if you're doing your chord really clean is just to kind of get on that A sus2 chord, which again is just E minor down a string, and then go A, D, G, B, E. And then try to get good, clean tone out of every one of those strings. Okay? So that's pretty much the whole song. Again, if you're doing it faithfully to the album version, there's kind of a little outro part where it's like F to G, A. F major, G major, F major, G major, A. Like if you're doing an acoustic version and you're doing the na-na-nas part, yeah, you might want to do that power outro, or we're bringing this F major chord in from out of nowhere. Nowhere in the song have we seen F major. And again, I like playing this F major instead of a bar chord F major. Both of them work, obviously. This one's just a little easier. Ring finger 3A, pinky 3D, middle finger 2G, pointer finger 1B. F major, G major, F major, G major, A. Right, I think you can kind of hear the outro from that song. So I think it's fun to just throw in at the end, even though if you're doing an acoustic version, it's not totally necessary. You can get away with doing the whole song just with these kind of 2 parts, right? But again, that does add a lot to the song, okay? Even with that F to G, I really think you should, if you've never tried doing the G major with your ring finger leading the way, I'm telling you, you should get it in your arsenal, right? Because like, look how easy it is to go from F to G instead of F to G. Again, people get good at it, you know, you can do it, you can for sure do it, but I always think it's just so much more efficient. And then even like a C, right? All the chords become a lot easier to transition to if you start doing your ring finger leading G major chord. Just a little pro tip here from Guitar Control, right? So thank you for checking it out. Definitely make sure you click that link below for the chord charts, and then also check out the other videos that we have on Guitar Control by myself. I've done tons of songs on this channel here, other great instructors too, and then we're always looking for your feedback. So if there are other songs that you want to hear, whether it's by Oasis, I'd be happy to teach them, or any other bands, let us know in the comment section, and we'll be back to you soon. Thanks a lot.